How's it going, folks? Welcome back to TUTV. My name is Jack.
I'm Lily, and you have a haircut.
Boom. What is the first thing you think of when you see this new haircut?
First I just thought it was your haircut from last year, but now since we've talked and you're wearing
Center
the
part.
working, you're wearing the working boots, just work boots.
Yeah, I
yeah,
gotcha.
and it reminds me of 90s boy band vibes.
Exactly. That's actually the first thing my father said when I sent him a picture of the haircut. He goes, "You look like you're in a 90s boy band." And I was like, "Thanks?" ? I like it. I mean, I like the 90s boy band look. This is what I was going for, but I think I can spin it to be look at me. I'm, channeling NSYNC.
Yeah, do you if you were in a band, not just NSYNC, but any boy band?
Yeah.
Which one would you be in?
Oh, is Boys to Men? Is that one of them? No, Boys Who Cry. From SpongeBob.
Oh.
Remember?
I wasn't allowed to watch SpongeBob when I was younger.
Now that's something we need to get into for the live stream as a roundtable discussion. That's sad. That's a bummer. But there's a boy band in SpongeBob about boys who cry, and they talk about how they're crying. That's basically it. But very in an upbeat way. It's great. I want to be one of them.
I mean, good.
I want to be the member of the boy band that has some serious stuff going on behind the scenes, and the fans are wondering is he in trouble with the law? All right, folks. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in a little bit.
Have fun.
Bye.
Hi, and welcome to TUTV News, where we have, you guessed it, news. I'm Christina Buell.
And my name's Alex. Let's get right into the stories. This weekend, 9 crew members of a Norwegian shipping vessel were kidnapped by pirates off the coast of Benin. The ship was anchored at Cotonau, the largest city in Benin, when the pirates attacked. According to the ship's owner, the boat was carrying gypsum, a mineral used as fertilizer. The attack is part of a rising trend of piracy in Benin and in West Africa as a whole.
Monday marked the release of 400 inmates in Oklahoma after a new law reduced prison sentences for inmates incarcerated for low-level crimes. A 2016 referendum in Oklahoma made drug possession a misdemeanor rather than a felony, and raised the criminal threshold for property damage to $1,000. Governor Kevin Stitt signed the bill earlier this year, which put the law into effect and retroactively reduced sentences. The commutation will be the largest since President Obama's last day in office, where 330 prisoners were freed.
During their annual technology conference, Microsoft unveiled their new information management service. Project Cortex, which will be in addition to Microsoft 365, is specifically tailored towards team projects. The main feature of the new system uses AI technology to recognize and organize data across an entire office and create informational pages. Informational pages will come together to create a Wikipedia-like information center, a feature Microsoft has promised since 2017. Project Cortex is still in development, but is planned to be released in the first half of 2020.
On Sunday, a boulder that was reported missing from the Prescott National Forest in Arizona was found again. Wizard Rock, a local attraction, had been missing for an entire month when a forest employee noticed that it had returned to its usual position. According to the district ranger Sarah Clausen, quote, "We are thrilled the Wizard Rock was returned," end quote. How the 400-pound slab of rock was able to be taken away and later returned to its home without anyone noticing is unclear. Officials are now considering moving Wizard Rock to a new location so its beauty can be easily accessible to more visitors.
Last Monday, Apple Incorporated announced that they would be donating $2.5 billion to creating new houses in the West Coast. The tech giant is not the first to do so, as Google and Microsoft have also put money towards housing projects. Apple's addition puts the housing total donated by big tech companies at $5 billion. The initiative for these companies to help the housing crisis comes from the federal government's lack of assistance.
This weekend in California, an estimated $1 billion worth of weed was destroyed by authorities. The Kern County Sheriff's Office was given an anonymous tip to investigate a general area, but they only expected to find a 459-acre weed plantation. Marijuana is legal in California, but the amount of THC is restricted to 0.3%. However, the THC content in the weed grown in the fields far exceeded the limit. According to the investigators, the farmers intended to sell the weed on the black market. The investigation is still in progress.
Well, that is crazy about that boulder story.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of creepy. How did they get it away and bring it back without anyone noticing?
I don't know. I had a pumpkin back when I was in a dorm, and during Halloween, I put it outside of my dorm room, and then when I came back, it was just gone. And I was like, who has my pumpkin? And so I looked everywhere, and then I came back after looking for probably 2 hours asking my friends, and it was returned. And I have no idea to this day who did that.
That's so odd.
Yeah, so spooky Halloween stories. Speaking of Halloween stories, up next we've got a package that I did and Mariah Gonzalez, our camera person, about past Halloween events this year. In October, we went to the Halloween event at the Tulsa Zoo, trick-or-treating at the Maple Ridge neighborhood, and the Day of the Dead Festival in downtown Tulsa. Halloween is the Tulsa Zoo's annual Halloween celebration, which features a spooky train ride throughout the zoo with creepy props and live volunteered actors. Throughout the entire zoo are sponsored goblin stops which give out candy, lots of attractions for kids, and some animals that have even come out during this hauntingly delightful night. Although it was chilly, this Halloween event is something to look forward to for next year. No, you're not. Okay, let's go. Hold my hand. Oh, this is kind of creepy.
Is that an animatronic?
I think so, yeah.
Oh no!
In the neighborhood Maple Ridge near Peoria and 21st, homeowners spent an overwhelming amount of time and effort decorating their houses, resulting in some truly great works of art. These Halloween decorated houses are surely something you won't want to miss next year. And lastly, this ghouly time of year wouldn't be complete without a Day of the Dead celebration. The Mexican holiday is celebrated on November 1st at the Guthrie Green and Living Arts Tulsa, as well as all along the city blocks between the two. This huge festival features many authentic artisans, Hispanic food trucks, art installations, parades, and dance parties. The festival went all throughout the night, so even if you can't make most of it, it is surely a First Friday you won't want to miss. Tune in next time for more events around Tulsa.
and welcome back. Today for our interview, we have Dr. Ben Peters, who is the head of the Media Studies Department here at TU. So first off, can you give a little background of yourself?
Sure, thanks. And thanks so much for having me, Lily.
Of
I
course.
appreciate the chance. So I'm from Iowa originally. Grew up detasseling corn, if anybody knows what that is, and hanging out in quiet Iowa City. It's a lovely college town. And then I discovered I really like school, so I stuck with it for a while. I've gone to college in the Intermountain West and on both coasts. I did my PhD at Columbia. Then I did a postdoc at Hebrew University in Jerusalem, which was super interesting, before taking a position here about 8 years ago. So I've been at TU ever since, and my family and I love it here.
Very nice. What drew you here to TU?
Well, we had a choice between positions in the Big Apple in New York City, which I absolutely, totally love. It's one of my favorite cities on the planet, and TU. And when it came down to it, people here were very hospitable, the real estate was very affordable, and there was an opportunity to kind of build and shape programs in a way that's since proven very rewarding.
Very nice. So to talk about your research, lately you've been talking about the Soviets' internet. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, totally. So I actually just got back 2 weeks ago from a fun conference in Helsinki, Finland, which is a great place to study Russia, it turns out, for all sorts of funny reasons I can get into if you want. But I talked about this book, my first standalone book on the history of the Soviet internet, How Not to Network a Nation, the Uneasy History of the Soviet Internet.
Very nice. What drove you to study about the Soviets' internet?
Yeah, well, there's lots of different origin stories. I think the one that pops to mind was 2007. I was looking for a dissertation project and reading through the footnotes in some obscure biography of a scientist that interests me, and I discovered there that when Norbert Wiener, founder of cybernetics, was visiting Moscow in 1960, people were simultaneously concerned about the Soviets developing what they called a unified information network. That's what the footnote pointed out. And I was like, wait a second. Of course the Soviets were trying to build a network in 1960. We were trying to do the same. Where's the Cold War? Where's the other side of the Cold War story for the internet history? And that set me off on a decade adventure in trying to chase down this book.
Very nice. You also mentioned where you were talking about your book that it was funny to study the Soviet internet there. Can you dig into why?
Yeah, totally. So Helsinki is a great place to study Russia, in part, and forgive me Russians, but because things work there, right? The joke, as the Finns put it, is that in Finland, everything works and nothing can be arranged. In Russia, nothing works and everything can be arranged. Okay. And if you're interested in doing kind of regular systematic studies, it's far easier to do it in Helsinki than it is in Moscow.
Very nice. Is there any other research projects that you are working on now?
Yeah, so I'm finishing up a history of kind of the proverbial stupid history of smart tech. Okay. I'm interested in how technology and intelligence became associated. I'm writing a short book on Russian hackers and how do we narrate invisible figures. I'm working on how we can theorize media and technology broadly within the Slavic tradition. And I'm broadly interested in how tech, this is still another book project, I'm interested in how tech has been shaped by the global north, right? By the Western industrialized countries that are producing most of the carbon and current climate change. So those are 4 projects that I'm working on right now.
Very nice. What made you get involved with those projects?
I don't know. I mean, I think I just can't keep myself from it at this point. I don't recommend necessarily being a professor unless you have to. And in my case, I feel compelled to write and think in these ways. So I do.
Very nice.
How's that for a dodge?
Very nice. Also, though, to talk about your 2 books here,
Sure.
This one you wrote alone, but the second book over here you only edited?
Yeah, this was super fun. This was the product of a workshop here at TU. About 25 contributors from around the world came together, and we talked in this book, The Digital Keywords of a Vocabulary of Information, Society, and Culture. We talked about how language has changed in the age of search, right? So each of us took a keyword and followed how that keyword, digital activism, algorithm, network, whatever it might be, has changed in the age of search, and what work language does in our life today.
That is awesome. But thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Enjoy the rest of the show.
go sports!
Hi, welcome back to TUTV Sports. I'm Harry Lebowski.
And I'm Wes Addington.
Let's get right into the sports news this week.
There's fast, and then there's Tulsa Fast. Both the men's and women's cross-country teams claimed victory at the American Athletic Conference championship race Friday. After a streak of storms in the Tennessee area, the two teams ran the 6K and 8K races in heavy mud and nearly freezing temperatures. The men's team had runners in 2nd through 6th place, and 2 placed 15th and 16th. Scott Beatty led the 8K race with a finishing time of 24 minutes and 12 seconds. The ladies claimed their victory by finishing the 6K run with 5 runners in the top 10, and Caitlin Klopfer leading with a 3rd place finish at 20 minutes and 13 seconds. This race marked the men's 6th straight American Conference title win and 10th consecutive overall conference championship for TU. In addition, the ladies have now claimed 5 titles since 2010, with 3 of them in the American Conference.
Fall sports are slowly coming to a conclusion as the winter sports and certainly the winter weather are starting off in Tulsa. Both men's and women's basketball teams kicked off their 2019 season with a home exhibition matchup last weekend. It was a spooky, scary start for the men's team debut on Halloween night as they trailed 27-30 against the Division II team. However, the men turned the rust into dust as Brandon Recall, Martin Scorsese, and Darian Jackson had a 73% shot accuracy that gave their way to a 76-56 victory over the Rockhurst Hawks. After the game, Frank Haith stated, "I thought our second half performance is what we are going to look like this year. In the first half, we were playing with 5 new guys." The Confidence Men team will begin their regular season this week with a home game against Houston Baptist.
One day prior to the men's game, the women's basketball team hosted an exhibition game against the NCAA Division II national runner-up, Southwestern Oklahoma State. Kendry and Elliott led the game for the Golden Hurricane with a double-double, 27 points, 12 rebounds. At one point in the first half, the ladies led by 13. Sadly, a surge of threes gave the Bulldogs their first lead later in the second half. Tulsa was scoreless for the final 4 minutes of the game, finalizing a 73-76 final in favor of the visitors. The ladies will now officially start their season this week at home, hosting Stephen F. Austin.
Sorry, baseball fans. We've now reached November, which marks the end of the MLB baseball season. However, the postseason left us with a team winning the World Series for the first time in their franchise history. The World Series was everything MLB fans could hope for between the Houston Astros and the Washington Nationals. Beginning with Washington leading 2-0 in the series, the Fall Classic came to a head all knotted up at 3-3. In the 7th game, Washington claimed their first World Series title with a 6-2 victory over Houston. It was also the first World Series where neither team won at home. Now we begin our 143-day, 21-hour, and 30-minute depressing wait until baseball returns. Yes, I'm counting.
With just 3 games left in the season, Tulsa football has been unable to find their footing in the American Conference. The Golden Hurricane suffered a loss to the Tulane Green Wave last Saturday in their search to find their first conference win. After trailing in the first quarter, Jacob Rainey redeemed his poor performance in the homecoming game by kicking a 40-yard field goal, tying the game 10-10 in the second quarter. However, Tulane still exited the half with a 24-16 lead over Tulsa. Tulane's lead extended to 31-16 at the end of the third. Tulsa would lead a final surge to come within 5 points at 26-31, but Tulane would end the game with another touchdown, making the score 38-26. Tulsa will host UCF this Friday at 6 p.m.
So, Wes, where were you last week?
So I had to get my old pal Severus Snape to fill in because I was doing the TU Ball Talk podcast. Have you heard of it?
I have, but we're going to do a shameless plug. So what is Ball Talk, Wes?
Ball Talk is a podcast that my friend Harry here is one of the weekly hosts of, and I've been a guest a couple of times.
We do it with our sports producer, Devin Lyon, and also Jenna. Jenna's on there too. Jenna's our boss.
Yeah, Jenna Lazenby.
Well, it's a lot of fun to listen to, and if you're more interested on some of these stories that we're talking about, you can find a deep dive on those there. But for now, we're signing off. We'll see you next week.
Ball Talk.
Ball Talk.
Welcome back to TUTV Entertainment. I'm Parker.
And I'm Benji. Me and Parker are so glad to be back to share some more exciting entertainment news. Let's get right into it.
Popular alternative band My Chemical Romance has announced they'll finally be reuniting. The band, which broke up 6 years ago, announced on Instagram that they'll be hosting a reunion concert this upcoming winter. My Chemical Romance is best known for a number of hit rock songs during the 2000s, such as Welcome to the Black Parade and Helena, among others. The much-anticipated reunion concert will take place on December 20th in Los Angeles, California. Tickets for the concert have already sold out, and there is currently no information on whether future shows will be planned.
The highly successful Spider-Man film, Into the Spider-Verse, is confirmed to be getting a sequel. This Oscar-winning film, released last year, was a hit with audiences for its stunning animation and new take on the typical origin story. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse follows Miles Morales, a teenager who, surprise, gains powers from a spider bite. However, the focus of the film varies from the typical Spider-Man story by featuring not just one Spider-Man, but multiple. The sequel is set for release on April 8th, 2022.
Actor Matthew McConaughey wants to make sure that California first responders are all right, as they continue to fight against the state's wildfires. Teaming up with the disaster relief organization, Operation Barbecue Relief, Matthew McConaughey and volunteers from his bourbon brand Wild Turkey launched a campaign titled With Thanks. Together, the two teams provided 800 turkey dinners to first responders and donated an additional 800 meals to local homeless shelters. Matthew McConaughey stated, quote, "Putting some food into bellies that are going to need it, that's what we're doing here," end quote.
The upcoming Oklahoma-based film, Killers of the Flower Moon, will be hosting an open casting call here in Tulsa. The movie, starring actors Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio, is based off a book by the same name. The book focuses on a series of murders in Osage County, Oklahoma during the 1920s after the discovery of oil on the Osage people's land. The investigation eventually led to the start of the FBI. The production team for the upcoming film will be holding auditions in both Oklahoma City and Tulsa starting next week. If you're interested, the Tulsa audition will be held Saturday, November 16th from noon to 5 p.m. at the Doubletree Hotel on 61st and Yale.
Pop singer Lorde has delayed the release of her new album following the death of her beloved dog, Pearl. In a note released to her newsletter subscribers, Lorde wrote that, quote, "This loss has been indescribably painful, and a light that was turned on for me has gone out," end quote. Lorde, who rose to fame with her 2013 hit Royals, has largely refrained from the spotlight for the past 2 years. While she's been working diligently on her new album, she has stated to her fans that, quote, "I have lost my boy, and I need some time to see the good again, to finish making this for you," end quote.
This weekend, Tulsa's Gathering Place is hosting one of the biggest Native American festivals in the region. The Oklahoma Tribal Celebration will celebrate Oklahoma's rich Native American culture with showcases from 7 different local tribes. Located on the Quick Trip Great Lawn, this festival will feature Native American food, music, art, fashion, and dance. Each tribe will also get the opportunity to share their story and cultural legacy. Among the tribes represented will be the Cherokee Nation, Osage Nation, and the Choctaw Nation. The celebration will take place this Saturday, November 9th from 1 to 6 p.m.
You know, I've been thinking long and hard ever since we heard that story about the killers of the Flower Moon casting call.
That was like 2 minutes ago, Parker.
Well, I've been thinking long and hard about it, and I think I'm going to audition. I think I'm ready for the big screen.
You know, I was kind of thinking the same thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's good news. What role are you going to be going for?
I was thinking about going for the Flower Moon role. I think I'd be a really good fit for that.
Really? You think you'd be a good fit for that? I'm clearly the perfect Flower Moon.
No, I mean, you're good and all, but like I just think that I could do a better job.
I don't know about that, Benji. How do those things work again? Isn't it like whoever gets there first gets the role?
I don't know about that. I mean, maybe.
Yeah. I think it's something like that. So.
What are you doing?
No, I'm just. You can take your time, but I'm just gonna.
I mean.
It's all right. I'll just be auditioning and getting the role before you.
No, so. I'm gonna audition.
Oh God. There they go, right at the door.
Woo.
And that should be like, we should film that. We should get like, so you can get there first. So you get the audition first.
Yeah.
I don't know what Flower Moon is, but is that like Sailor Moon? What? Speaking of entertainment stuff, My Chemical Romance. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, My Chemical Romance. Did you listen to them when you were younger?
Yes, I did. But so like everyone went through the phase in like middle school, right?
Everyone.
Everyone but me.
Speak for really?
I didn't have like the My Chemical Romance phase until like 10th grade.
Oh, you pushed it back.
Well, the thing is, so as I tell everyone, I live under a rock.
Yeah.
And I will stay by that statement. So I didn't start listening to like pop music until 6th grade because my parents only listened to country music. So I only listened to country music or Disney music until 6th grade.
That explains why you didn't listen. That explains why you didn't watch SpongeBob as well.
Yeah, they banned SpongeBob for me, so I just never got into it.
Bummer. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I did see the SpongeBob movie. The only thing I remember is SpongeBob and Patrick on the guy's back.
Yeah, David Hasselhoff.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. I never got to My Chemical Romance phase, but right now I'm in like a nostalgia phase for like, you know, like early like young me stuff, like Tarzan, for example.
Okay. Oh, like the soundtrack from Tarzan?
Yeah, the Phil Collins soundtrack for Tarzan.
Yes.
I love that so much. Did you know that NSYNC, speaking of NSYNC, actually if you bought the Tarzan album, which I of course did, there's a special NSYNC cover of when, a doo-wop cover of when they're trashing the camp in the movie. Fun fact, check that out guys. If you ever want to get a little NSYNC doo-wop in there. Not doo-wop, NSYNC, what's it called? Like shabby-dop, doobie-doop, dabby-dop.
I have no idea.
Dabby-dop.
What's
it called?
I thought that's from. Oh, for a second I thought it was from the Jungle Book, like ooh, ooh.
Same difference.
I wanna be like you. Ooh, ooh.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching this episode. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Have fun.
Bye.